working group meeting. Okay. Sorry, I had to shift this meeting because of a vacation day. I also had quite a struggle with daylight saving time adjustments. So I think this time now is correct, and I will adjust the meeting series to this time that we have now. So currently it's 1 hour too late because I messed around with the calendar. Good, then there's not too much on the agenda for today. As one announcement, as you know, we have this story for setting up our own concourse server for continuous for the one which will host the release pipelines in the future. So this story is now really about to start. We had some trouble at SAP with other priorities, and now this story here, here is a moment here putting this really now in progress. And we may have to do some refactoring first before we can reuse this project, but then hopefully soon we have our own concourse.
Nice.
Good. Yeah, and that's basically all from my side. Then I would hand over to Dave. So we've seen that after quite some efforts, you've managed to create a Bionic release of CF deployment. And we would just like to tell us what obstacles you hit and how you overcame them, and so that we get an idea what's up for the next major stem cell upgrades.
Sure. So we have a fairly automated system in general. Let me find that. Where's my concourse? There it is. So if I go to update releases and I can share my screen. So this is the pipeline in general that does all of the release management. I think I've shown this in the last meeting, but I wanted to focus on this first group of jobs here, because this is how the stem cell bumps are managed. So both major and minor stem cell bumps are automated. The difference being that a major stem cell bump involves a kernel bump, and so all of the compiled releases have to be recompiled for the new stem cell. And so we have a job at the beginning that will detect. Oh, I need to log in apparently. I don't know why that's not public. I don't think there's anything sensitive in here. Basically, it detects the difference between the new stem cell that's coming in and the stem cell that's currently on main of CF deployment, and figures out, is this a major or a minor bump? And it just outputs a file, which if I remember rightly, goes to GCS currently, that says it's either a major or it's a minor. That then triggers one of two jobs. If it's a major, as in this case, it acquires all of the locks for the environments that do the release bumps, so that we can't have release bumps running at the same time. And then it will basically do a deployment with the new stem cell. Actually, does it do that? No, maybe this one doesn't do that. This one just says, okay, I need to redeploy all of the releases with the new stem cell, export them to compile them, updates all of the ops files that are necessary, puts all the releases in GCS, and this then pushes to develop. And that flows through the regular pipeline, has all the validation that has, and then we cut a release manually. If it's a minor stem cell, then it says, okay, well, I don't need to recompile everything. I don't have to stop everything else from happening. So it just grabs one environment, and then that will just do a validation deployment just like a release bump, run smoke tests, make sure everything is still fine. It doesn't need to recompile the releases. So it will commit directly to main and actually create a release. And then so that everything else continues to work, it then makes the same commit, it merges that into develop, that flows through the rest of the pipeline, but the release is out. So this is kind of like our short circuit way of getting a minor stem cell bump out quickly without it having to A, flow through all the pipeline, and B, wait for us to then kind of release. So we should, now that we're on Bionic, this job will start triggering unless they create version 2 or higher. If we get a minor bump, this job will trigger and we'll get automated releases again, which is nice. As far as the challenges that we had, really the biggest challenge, I think, was that I was probably a little too eager in doing the bump on develop. And there were components like NFS volume services and SMB volume services that weren't ready, that I didn't realize. Because we had a pipeline that was testing Bionic with an ops file, but it wasn't testing those components. And so I didn't realize that they were broken. And so because the change made it onto develop, we were then stuck in a situation where we were blocked on that. But it was very hard to back out, because once it made it to develop, all of the new release bumps that came in after it were being compiled for that stem cell. So it wasn't just a case of change the stem cell back. All of that stuff would have had to be wound back and then replayed with the old stem cell. And so we kind of got into a place where it's just like, okay, well, we've just got to wait until these things are ready. Fortunately, that didn't take too long, but I think that was the biggest learning for me was, okay, we need to have a better idea of what needs to be validated before we do the next bump, the bump to jammy, because I think that will help us to have a much smoother transition. And then I think the other thing that came through was the dynamic ASG change. And that caused CI to go red for a while because there were some issues with cats that they had to help us with. And so even once we started getting some of the fixes, we couldn't get those to flow through the main pipeline because it was red for other reasons. And so there were just a bunch of things happening at the same time. So I think coordination of, oh, okay, we know, okay, nothing else is happening. We can do the jammy bump in isolation. Will make things a lot smoother, I think.
Okay. Good.
I'll let you process all of that and see if you have any questions.
Yeah, will we notice that NFS and what was the other, SMB?
SMB, yeah.
Yeah, they were not ready and basically blocked that. And then I think NFS was first, then they released an update. And
yeah, and NFS, I know that, I mean, I'd been kind of tracking NFS because I'd seen an issue on there for a few months, and someone had PR to fix in and they'd merged the PR, they just hadn't cut a release. So I just had to get in touch with that team and get them to cut a release of that. They also manage SMB, and that's when somebody else realized, oh, SMB's also got a similar problem. And it was just because of utilities that are packaged into those releases that needed to be updated. And so once they realized that, and I could impress on them the urgency of getting this done, it happened fairly quickly at that point. But still fairly quickly means a week or two.
Yeah, okay, then I saw that they reacted and created new releases.
Right.
Yeah. Okay, so we should keep an eye on those.
Yes.
For the next update.
I did add SMB volume services to the part of the pipeline that tests disaster recovery. but I'm not sure that that's giving us full coverage of either NFS or SMB volume services, because someone was reporting an issue with actually creating a volume and mounting it into an application container that I didn't see when running that. So I'm not sure if there's further validation we want to do there, or if it's just a case of keeping an eye on those releases and making sure that they're ready, and talking to that team and saying, hey, we're planning this, can you validate that you're ready to go, kind of thing.
Yeah.
Because hopefully we can, now that we have this working group structure in place, like we can tell the other working groups, hey, we're planning on we're preparing for Jammy, can you all use the stem cell that's available and validate that you're ready to go, kind of thing. And I think that was the step that was missing here.
Okay.
Yeah, maybe we can add the this NFS and SMB components also then for the Jammy validation pipelines before everything goes into CF deployment directly. So
right. Yes. Yeah. If we want to do a final validation, yes, we can definitely do that.
Yeah.
We've just got to figure out, because I don't think there might be something in CATS that does basic validation of them. I seem to remember that the volume services team added that. So it might just be a case of adding a CATS job that has the appropriate include flags turned on. Because I know they have their own acceptance test suite, but that's really heavy-handed and not really something I want to start running in our CI if I can avoid it.
Okay.
Yeah, go ahead.
Go ahead. No,
yeah, okay. on this journey of let's say setting up an own concourse and then moving over the pipelines step by step, and yeah, at one point in time it would be nice if everybody from the working group could cut a release actually, which requires probably some training, but first of all we need all the access, etc. Is there some blocking things that you could foresee when we start with this new concourse? For instance, can we set it up and still use the old YAS accounts for the landscape so that we can do this step by step?
I think so, yes. We've just got to transfer the credentials into the appropriate secret manager. But I don't see any reason why not. They are currently in separate GCP accounts, so there's nothing that relies on everything being in the same account or in the same project. So I don't think that will be a challenge. The only work that will need to be done is currently the Windows validation uses a pool of CF deployment environments that were provided by a team here at VMware, that I think we'll have to change that part of the pipeline to use a dedicated environment, just like the rest of CI. So there's a little bit of work there, but that's not terrible. And we can actually use that as this is the first environment in the new project that's managed by the working group. So we can kind of start there, and then that'll just be a case of applying the same pattern to the rest of them when we start to transition them over. But yeah, I don't see a problem with that. Yeah, I mean, there are a fair number of pipelines. We just need to coordinate when we move one over, pausing it in the old concourse and so on.
Yeah.
First of all, we need the concourse set up and running. That's
the concourse, and then we start with an easy pipeline, and then with the
when we start, we will hit probably one block after the other, and then cry for help, etc. We will see.
That's fine. Yeah,
just need to get started somehow. The first steps are usually the difficult ones. But then...
Yes. Yeah. I did have one question related to CI. So I've been tracking the recommendation that it's a PR-only workflow, which I think is great for contributions, but I didn't know how that applied to automation. And the reason I say that is right now we have a lot of automation, especially the release bumps and stem cell bumps, that commit directly to develop as a bot user. And are we supposed to, because if we have to change those to PRs, then does that mean we have two bots, one that creates the PR and then another bot that immediately approves it? And if so, does that really achieve the spirit of PR-only workflow, or you might as well just automate it and commit it
that sounds strange, right? I mean, the PR makes sense if somebody reviews it. If there's a bot creating the PR and directly merging it behind, then I don't know what's the value. That's at least my point of view.
Yeah, that's.
I'm aware that there are recently got many bot users added to all the working groups and projects. So I guess this is common practice everywhere for dependency updates. Dependabot, yeah, okay, they create PRs, right?
Yes,
which,
I think Dependabot, in that case, there's no validation. So they want humans to look at it and say, yes, this looks like the same change, and then go ahead and merge it. Okay.
I would start like this. If it becomes a problem, etc., we can make it an official topic and then RFC in the TOC and come here to a official decision. But
sure,
for now, I would. Yeah.
Okay, we'll just keep working as we are for now then. Okay.
Yeah,
that's good.
I mean, at the end of the day, the important thing is that we get Cloud Foundry releases out of the door regularly, and that we have the whole working group being able to cut those releases, so that not you have to do all the work and everything and all the time, and we are just crying, we need another one. That should change, and yeah.
Okay, that sounds good. Okay, yeah, I think that's. Any other questions about CI or the stem cell?
Super long running issue, which is now almost 1 year old. 924 bump to GA bionic stem cell can then be closed now, I hope.
Yes, I think so. Now that we've got the release out, we can definitely close that out.
Okay, good. Yeah. Then, yeah. Finally,
yeah, I'd forgotten that we had that still open.
Yeah, I'm checking the issues from time to time, and okay, then we can finally get rid of this one. Okay, good. Yeah.
Okay. The only other thing I had on my list of things to talk about, if we're done with that, is I wondered whether we needed to have more frequent meetings in the short term, just to help get things up and running. You know, meeting only monthly, I think, is fine once we're all in the flow. But initially, as we're transitioning things and getting things moved over to new concourses and that kind of thing, I didn't know whether a more frequent meeting would be useful.
I guess it might make sense as we now really start to work on working group topics and not on SAP internal stuff anymore. This could make sense. Yeah, so we have the, what is it, the second Thursday, and we could add the fourth Thursday, so bi-weekly meeting. Yeah,
I think that would be good. It might mean that every once in a while it's a 3-week gap, but I think that's fine.
Okay, then I will set up a meeting, and I'm also trying to find a place for the meeting notes. There is no common place. Each working group has its own storage for meeting notes.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, but this certainly makes sense then in the beginning. Good. Yeah, I guess the real fun starts when we move the first pipelines and try to build something useful with them. Then this is when the real action starts. Yeah, this should hopefully soon be the case.
Yeah, and if you have kind of somewhat advanced notice of when you're going to work on that, I can be available, you know, early every morning, like from 8:30 to help and have more synchronous time You know, we can either jump in a Zoom or just chat on Slack.
Yeah.
But at least you're not doing something, asking a question, waiting 24 hours, coming back the next day.
Yeah.
You know, so it might actually help move things along.
Yeah.
And I'm sure Carson can be as well, and Tom.
Maybe one question: do we have everything in place that we need for setting up the concourse? I mean, this is still something where we, if at all, may need Ruben Costa for help, because he has this project.
So we can ask Ruben for the technical stuff of this GitHub Cloud Foundry Bosch community stem cell project. I guess I don't guess he has implemented most of it, and can certainly help when we start refactoring it, because it contains a lot of hard-coded Bosch.ci stuff in it. Yeah, we have to agree on a domain name for this one. So we have, what is it? So Bosch CI, this is the one for stem cells. Up and running, and we need then the new one could be something like, I don't know, release integration CI Cloud Foundry org. If anyone has a better suggestion.
I mean, I guess my only thought is, does it make sense to name it after the working group? I mean, release integration was the old CF team that managed it, but we haven't used that name in quite some time.
Yes, I mean, yeah, it's named after the old one, but of course we can also, I mean, this is Bosch.ci.
Yeah. Then it would be deployment.
So let's come up with how can I edit this now? Oh, yeah.
There you go. Yeah.
Edit node. Yeah, this would be another thing to discuss, not necessarily now, if this is the right place to maintain the stories and so on. The problem is that you can't assign people here, and yeah.
Also, so the way that we did that is we create issues and then just manage the issues on the project board. So I think if you look at all the stuff in the done column, I don't know if they are, a lot of those are either PRs or I thought they were issues. And so if you create it as an issue and then manage them that way, you can assign people and have labels and all kinds of things. And then on the issue, you just choose to say, add it to this project, and then the automation will take over.
Okay, so work more with issues. Could be a solution. Yeah, I've checked all the other working groups, what they are doing, but there seems to be no good common sense what to use. But okay, we don't have to solve this now.
Sure.
So far, it's still overseeable what we are doing. Good. So for the domain name, something like deployments.ci.
Yeah, the official working group name is up, Runtime Deployments, but you don't want to have such a domain name, right?
It's quite a mouthful.
I mean, CF deployment.
Yeah, I'm just thinking because we've got CF deployment, cats, smoke
at least
test.
Everyone knows what this is.
Yeah.
We add, working group deployment, so WG minus deployment. That you know this is not just for the project.
Work group deployment. Is it S? Yes.
Yeah, I think that's fine.
Yeah. Then we know this is a concourse for the working group.
Right.
Then let's go for this. Okay, good. And of course, as we have Chris in the call, Chris, you mentioned that you can provide us a GKE account.
Yeah, I can get that set up whenever you're ready for that. Also, I'll change the cadence of the meeting to second and fourth Thursdays.
Thank you.
Mhm.
And I'll create a Google Doc for the agenda and I'll put that in the invite notes.
Okay, good.
Perfect.
Uh,
Are you ready for that GKA account now? Is that something you want me to get on?
I will, yes.
Yeah, okay.
We will start hopefully in a moment.
Not today, but tomorrow.
Not today, certainly not, maybe not tomorrow, but in this sprint. The
Yeah,
story is planned for this sprint. That's what we can
Exactly.
promise.
Okay, sounds
Yeah.
good.
And for this machine here, you need a GKE account.
Yep.
Yeah. I mean, for developing, we would have something. Yeah, we also have GCP accounts, but if we get the official one, this would also be fine. Where would we store the credentials or other credentials?
So I got the impression looking at that doc that they were deploying CredHub there. Did I see?
They're also deploying a CredHub. Yes, I guess it's for the Let's Encrypt integration. Ruben has the details here.
Okay, I mean, because you can integrate CredHub with Concourse, so I don't know whether they're using that for all of the Concourse secrets.
Maybe also for the Concourse secrets,
Yeah.
database secrets and the like. Yes, so it's quite sophisticated, but it should have everything we need. Most importantly, the Let's Encrypt integration so that we have a valid certificate, and this GitHub Teams integration so that you can easily log on with your GitHub account like I do now.
Right.
Log on GitHub.
It's indeed a question where to store, let's say, credentials that need to be shared in a working group. We had a similar thing in the application interfaces in the copy team, because here you need some credentials to upload Bosch releases into some buckets, for instance, a new Ruby version or something like that. And here, I think Philip and Florian, our two committers, they received some credentials to access a certain password manager that obviously the copy team had there in place. I don't know if there's a general solution, or I mean, if every team has a CredHub, then yeah, maybe that can be used. But again, you need the credentials to access the CredHub somewhere.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, you have GitHub secrets, but I guess this is not the best option.
You can't read the credentials in GitHub secrets. They
cannot
are write
read them
only
so
and
easily,
readable, of course, for the GitHub actions, but not for humans anymore.
Yeah. Yeah.
It sounds like they've maybe shared access to LastPass, which is what we were using for credential sharing within release integration. So I'll have to reach out to them and find out if that's the case, because if so, then we can definitely do the same thing. We have a shared folder that has all of the secrets necessary. And we can basically set up a new one for the working group and duplicate that. So I'll find out if that is what they were doing, because that's an easy solution if so.
Yeah, that sounds good if that's possible. I think this is how Philip got the credentials for this S3 bucket. It was also LastPass. I remember, probably a different folder there. Or
yeah,
LastPass. Okay.
Yes, correct.
Okay, I'll reach out to the copy team and confirm that, and then find out what they had to do to add external people.
Seth had to file an internal ticket to some administrator, he said. Sounded like a corporate process.
Yeah, that will probably be a help system. Yeah. Okay. That's fair.
Okay, good.
Okay. Yeah, we've covered everything I had on my agenda to talk about today. I don't know if there's anything else that we discuss.
Same for me now. So, I mean, questions will come up when we really start with the story. So for now, Anything else?
I think sounds good.
Yep, I think we're good.
Jürgen, I'll follow up and make sure I know everything needed about the GKE cluster, who I should add as admins.
Yeah. Okay.
Things like that. So I'll follow up with you after this.
Okay, great.
Perfect. Thanks, Chris.
Pleasure.
Yeah, thanks.
Yeah, thanks a lot. And
I'll see you in 2 weeks.
if
Yeah.
there's nothing else, we'll meet again in 2 weeks. We'll see
If not
how-
earlier,
Yep,
because you are
indeed.
blocked somewhere.
Right. Yeah, no,
Or
definitely. If you
yeah,
need help,
yeah.
if you need help, reach out in Slack. If I'm online,
Sure.
which will be end of day for you, beginning of day for me, then I'll help in any way I can.
Yeah. Okay.
Cool.
Okay. Thanks, everyone.
Thanks.
Done.
Bye.
Yeah. Thanks also for
See you.
joining.
Bye-bye.
Bye, everyone.
Bye-bye.
See you. Bye.
Yeah.